Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to spend with me. We're back in the kitchen today and we are going to do a very tasty project. I'm going to attempt to can caramelized onions. I've seen several people do this. I love caramelized onions. I think they're delicious. They add a lot of depth and flavor to about any dish, and you can put them in anything. You can eat them on burgers, chicken, pork chops, whatever. But then also think about in casseroles if you need to just kind of jazz up something quick on the stove. If you're just throwing something in a skillet, I think they're going to add great flavor to that. If you want to make French onion soup, you've already skipped the caramelizing the onion step. And we are going to let our kitchen appliances do a lot of the work today. Now, the videos that I've seen of other people doing this, they were doing like 30, 40 pounds of onions. That's not what we're doing. I'm not going to do that. I have 9 pounds of Vidalia onions that I got at Walmart. I'm going to trim the ends off, get these cut in half, and then I'm going to let the food processor here do all the work. I'm going to slice those, and then we are going to put them in a crock pot with a little bit of butter, and we're just going to leave them alone. We're going to let the crock pot do all the work on these, and so let's get started. So this food processor is super tall, but it's really cool, and I thought I would show you guys a little bit on how it works. Let me slide it over a little bit there. It's so tall, it barely has enough clearance to fit underneath my cabinet. But what's neat about this one is it's got this lid so that you can actually store things in it, but this lid comes off and all the attachments go inside of it. It also has a dicing blade, and I've used this quite a bit for peppers, onions, carrots. I've used this for quite a bit. It's very handy. We're not going to use it today because we're just going to need to slice today. But we'll set that out, and all the other attachments store in this little thing. It's super handy. I absolutely love it. This is a 13-cup food processor, so it'll hold quite a bit. I'm going to get this set up with the slicing blade, and then I will show you guys what it looks like while we're shredding some onions. Okay, so we've got these onions ready to go. I have the food processor ready to go as well. This has an adjustable slicing blade, so you can adjust if you want your slices really thick or thin. I'm going to just kind of go in the nice middle of the road. I have a compost bowl here ready that you guys probably can't see. And the good thing is these onions are pretty small, so I think that it's going to be very easy to just cut these in half, take the skin off, and run them through the food processor. We're going to get a couple of these cut up and ready to go, and I'll show you what it looks like when we're ready to process these. So I heard somebody say that if you wear contacts, these hot onions don't really bother you. The first couple onions didn't bother me at all, but now I'm kind of crying. If that's true, somebody let me know. If I wear contacts, will this not happen to me? I know I could just go try it, but I don't wear my contacts often, and I hate to just put them on, put a pair in just to chop onions and then toss them, because I do have to wear them daily. So if that's true, somebody let me know. As with most electrical appliances, it does help if it's actually plugged in. So let's try that again. Okay, something's still not right. So that first bag of onions actually filled this about all the way full. I'm going to dump this. I'm going to chop the rest of these onions, get these processed, and get everything in the crock pot. I will move the crock pot over here because it's a pretty decent setup for me showing you all what's happening. So give me just a few minutes and I'll bring you back to show you where we are. While I'm chopping onions and absolutely crying, I will tell you guys I got a good deal on some onions a few months ago, maybe before Christmas, and I ran those through this food processor with that dicing blade, and I just froze them. I stuck them all in the freezer, and they were delicious. I still have some. It filled up, I don't know, I think I did almost a whole bag of onions, and I got like a gallon bag full of them. And it was really, I thought it was smart. Watch your onions. If you see any odd places or you don't quite get enough of that flowering end of the onion, if you don't get that all cut off, feel like you need to, just take that off. It's not a big deal. But yeah, so you can also, oh my gosh, these are so potent. But yeah, if you don't think that you would like to caramelize onions, and maybe you don't have a dehydrator, but you want some onions stored, then try just chopping them up and freezing them. If you've got the freezer space, it works really, really well for me. You guys can see I have this crock pot. It's about, let me bring it down so you can see it a little better. There you go. So it is a 6 or 7 quart crock pot. This is plumb full with 9 pounds. Now, if you wanted to do more, you could do it in like a roasting pan, which I do have, but I had 9 pounds of onion, so we may do with the crock pot. But if you want to do more, you can. I do think one of the benefits with this small batch canning, especially if you're doing something that you're not sure how it's going to turn out. I mean, like, obviously I love caramel. Ooh, let me move. I can't stand right there. Okay, so, my eyes. If you, like, obviously I think I'm going to love caramelized onions, but I don't know that for a fact. So doing this in this small batch, these are going to cook down a ton. I'm going to get a few, I bought half pint jars to do these in. And it's going to be a nice way for me to try it and make sure I like it before I run out to the Amish and buy 30-40 pounds of onions. I'm not going to do that. That's not feasible. I don't have room to keep that many caramelized onions, and I don't know. I know a few people that might get a jar as gifts, but I don't know that these are something that is going to be giftable, or is this going to be something that's just for us when we want to have a little extra oomph to a dish. Anyway, I am going to add about 6 tablespoons of butter. That's almost a whole stick. I couldn't find any hard and fast guidelines for how much butter to add to this. So I'm not going to add a whole stick of butter. I'm going to add most of a stick of butter into this. I'm going to turn it on high on the crock pot, and I'll stir it. I'll show you guys what it looks like once we're stirring it, and then also, of course, show you what it looks like when we're done and we're ready to get these in jars. That will probably be tomorrow. So I'm thinking maybe I should just put these on low and maybe let them go overnight. It's not quite 1 o'clock right now, so I know that they're not going to have time to go. I know they're not going to be done tonight in time for me to can them. So maybe I should just put these on low and let them go overnight. I don't know. I'll play around with it and see. But just be aware, if you're going to do them in the slow cooker, you can actually do these on the stove. There's no problem. This just gives you time to do other stuff. I really, really, really want a nice nap today. It's a rainy day and we got up early. I want a nap. So anyway, I also have one more thing to show you guys. After I get the butter in there and the lid put on the onions, we are going to use one of those meals in a jar that we canned the other day. I really, really like Hormel beef tips and gravy. They are so full of additives. So full of additives. But they taste kind of great. So, when I was house sitting a couple weeks ago, I was right smack in town. So it was really easy for me to just grab takeout and convenience foods. And after like about 4 days, 5 days, my body just really craved something good, something comforting. I wanted some kind of comfort food. So I picked up one of those Hormel beef tips and gravy. I got some instant mashed potatoes, and I roasted some carrots real quick in the oven. They were delicious. But I thought I would try to see if we can recreate something similar with these meals in a jar that we can. I've got that beef pot roast, and I've got beef stroganoff. I think I'm going to try the pot roast tonight, and I'm going to make some instant mashed potatoes, because my reason for doing this is you can have this meal ready on the shelf. You can have the instant potatoes on the shelf. You literally have to boil water. I will add some milk and sour cream because that's just me, but you don't have to. And if we were in a position where you know, we didn't have access to sour cream, if the power was out. One time there was an ice storm, power was out for like a week. Thankfully, that's been many moons ago. But if it were to happen again, we don't have to have milk and sour cream. We can just use water. But like I said, I'm gonna for sure do it today. But anyway, my whole point here is that I want to see if these foods can replace those expensive, because that was like $7 for that Hormel beef tips and gravy, and I ate twice off of it, maybe 3 times if I threw a salad in there. I don't remember exactly, but it wasn't like I made it and I had food for days. Absolutely not. So I'm going to try that, and of course I'll bring you guys with me. We'll do it together. We'll see how it tastes. I'm hungry. I stopped this morning. I went to town early, had an errand to do, came back home, or I stopped at Sonic on the way because I was like, this has been a treat to be up this early and get stuck in the ridiculous line that I did. But so I left and I was like, I'm going to get some Sonic because I'm hungry. I don't think the person that made my breakfast sandwich had ever seen a sandwich. It was terrible. The bacon was hard and not even just crispy cooked. It was just overcooked. It wasn't even lined up right in a square on the bread. It was chaos. It was everywhere. I couldn't even eat the thing. But I ate those tater tots. Probably shouldn't have done that. Anyway, so I'm hungry. All I had was a few bites of a BLT at, I don't know, about 4 hours ago. And now I'm hungry. So I'm going to get the crock pot ready, and we are going to check out our convenience meal, see if it's actually convenient or not. I really hope that this works out. I hope this is delicious, because this is much more affordable when you break it down for this quart jar versus what I paid for that meal, that Hormel thing at Meijer. So hold, guys. We'll be right back. Alright, so I got our pot roast in a jar, and I'll show you guys. When we did these, I wrote on the lid to stir in 2 tablespoons of flour and whisk. That just helps me remember how to prepare this. And let me pop this lid and try to get it close so you guys can hear it. Ooh. It's hard to do not balancing it on anything, but it had a nice fresh seal. As always, you do still want to smell it. Just make sure. Oh, it smells delicious. We put that, was it Sauvignon Blanc? Anyway, we put wine in there. And you can really smell it. And those herbs smell really good, too. Can you guys see? That looks delicious. This meat, honestly, it doesn't look like a lot, but it's going to shred up. Oh, it's just fall apart tender. This, let me just show you here. I mean, I'm putting the slightest amount of pressure on this, and it's just shredding right up. That's going to be so tender. There is a bay leaf in here I need to fish out. So I'm going to get some tongs. I'm going to get the flour in it, and we'll get this whisked up. I also need to get some water on for the potatoes. I'm over here getting this water ready for the potatoes, and this bag seems to be a lot more involved on the directions. It actually calls for butter and salt and milk at the very end, which I don't think the other ones that I have done have called for that. But anyway, you don't have to have milk. Like I said, if you're in an emergency situation where you don't have access to refrigerated milk, but if you've been following me, you know that we like the Dollar Tree milk. Hold, and I'll get you one to show you what I'm talking about. So you know that I like to keep this on hand because we don't often buy big gallons of milk. I did get a free one at Meijer the other day. I had a reward for a free 2-gallon of milk. So I do actually have regular milk today. But the other thing that you can get is this evaporated milk. This is just Walmart. I put it on my grocery order every so often. When we were in the middle of the pandemic, this was my hoarder food, and I don't know why, because again, nobody in our house is just drinking milk, but that's what I felt like we had to have, was evaporated milk. We've about worked our way through it, so now I'm going to start building that supply up a little bit more. It is longer, it does last longer than this brand, but regardless, if you follow me, you know how to have milk. The other option is milk powder, and I think I have some of that up in the cabinet too. I know I have some buttermilk powder because I use that for my ranch dressing mix. Anyway, I need to get this pot. Sorry, the train of thought just jumped the tracks. I bought this pot at a yard sale, and I was so excited to find it because it's one of those old school clear ones. It does have a chip in it though, and I didn't see that when I bought it, but I paid like $1 for it, so it's whatever. But I love this pot so much. It just makes me happy when I cook in it. So when I was trying to find one to make these potatoes in, I was like, oh, let's use that. Anyway, I'm gonna get the butter going, and oh, there, you can really see that chip, can't you? Nice. I'm gonna get the butter in the potatoes. I have this on, it's starting to heat up. I'm gonna find that bay leaf, get it out, and get the flour whisked in. I also made a decision on the onions, and I decided I would turn those on high for about an hour. I'll check them in an hour, see what they look like, and then I'll probably back it down to low. But I thought I would just go for an hour to just to get things started, let them get cooking pretty well. This is heating up. Now, I think I could microwave this. It probably wouldn't have been a big deal. I'm just trying to find that the bay leaf. Oh, there it is. Okay, so now we whisk in 2 tablespoons of flour. This is not the right measuring spoon. Hang on. Okay, we're ready now. 2 tablespoons of flour. You don't have to be exact with this at all. And we're going to whisk this together, see if we get a nice gravy here. I forgot that I'd put potatoes in this when I made it. I'm going to whisk to try to get these lumps out. It might be smarter to kind of drain your liquid into this first and whisk the gravy, or whisk the flour in to make your gravy. That way you can really get your lumps out without having to dodge the vegetables and meat. You're just not going to get a lumpy gravy this way. I might have a few lumps in this batch, but I'll try to remember that for next time. This smells amazing. I wish you guys could smell it. Our water for the potatoes, that's not really doing anything yet. I'm going to turn that up a little bit. We're just going to let this thicken, and this should all come together pretty quickly once we get this thickened up. I've got this pretty much good to go. I've already got the heat turned off. What I like about it is that my potatoes, when we canned these, my potatoes have really stayed together well. They are still whole potatoes. I was able to stab that with a fork, and it stayed together. The carrots are a bit mush. Those are kind of breaking up as I've stirred. So I think next time I'll just keep the carrots in bigger chunks when I do this. I also think this would be fantastic with mushrooms in it. If you're a mushroom person, this would be really good with mushrooms. And this meat, I mentioned it was so tender. I've literally broken it up with this really flimsy plastic whisk. I just kind of mashed it and it disintegrated. So this is going to be delicious. I am almost ready for the potatoes. I hear them kind of starting to boil there. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys how great those potatoes still looked in here. The celery is still in chunks. I did that on purpose because I mentioned before I don't like to eat chunks of celery, and it's easy for me to pick out. So that worked really well in my favor. And yeah, I haven't tasted of it yet. I'm going to wait a taste of it with the mashed potatoes too. I'm going to try it all at once. I realized that I'm having mashed potatoes and potatoes in here because I forgot that we put potatoes in this. And I don't think that this quart jar would necessarily be enough to feed like a family of 4. Absolutely not. This is going to be a family of 2, maybe 3, depending on your sides. On if you put like a nice salad or a can of green beans, or you could absolutely add more carrots into this. There's quite a bit that you can do for it. But I don't think that just this one jar, I don't think that's going to feed like 3 people at all. But I do know that I bought inexpensive cuts of beef for this. And I definitely have less than $7 in this. I bought the cheap wine. I bought a cheap cut of beef. The potatoes, carrots, celery, those were fairly inexpensive. And yeah, so this was much less expensive than the Hormel meal. I don't think it's faster than microwaving for 3 minutes, but my hope is that it's going to taste much better. We'll see. The directions on this bag are making me question whether or not I've ever read the directions to make instant mashed potatoes. So, yeah. That's hot. It says to heat to a boil, remove from heat, add cold milk, stir potatoes. Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, add cold milk and stir in cold potatoes. This pot might not be big enough for this whole pack. This is a little bit bigger pack. This was a better buy at Dollar Tree than it was at Walmart, because at Walmart, I think that smaller packs were like $1.50. This was $1.25. It says it serves 8. We all know that's just a suggestion. But, again, I kind of wanted to just test this out and make sure if we get into a situation where we don't have electricity for a couple of days, if there are some storms or something that roll through, that we're going to have, you know, at least a couple of decent meals. We've got, we have a camper, and I know that we can, I think that's going to probably need a little more milk. It's a little bit lumpy still. Let me add just a little more milk to this. I'll be right back. What I was saying is we have a camper, so if it came down to it, we could stay in that. But you guys, the dogs have been really good today, but you guys usually hear those dogs running around in these videos. 3 adults and 75 dogs in a camper. There's not really 75, I promise. But anyway, that doesn't sound like a ton of fun. We're just going to leave the lid on this, let this settle for a bit, and then I'll start dishing it up. But anyway, oh yeah, what I was saying is, this way, if we have a situation where we don't have power because there's a storm or whatever, we'll have, obviously, snacks, but at some point we're going to be wanting real food, and this will let us have it. Also, when it's been just a rough day and I'm tired and I don't want to cook, I don't have to with this. It's ready to go. That's super nice. I can't wait to eat this. I can't wait to try it and share with you guys what it tastes like. Looks delicious. Oh my goodness. The other thing that I can do with these potatoes, if I have leftovers, is I can make potato cakes. I love potato pancake. Let me spin you guys around so you can see my face. You can tell if I'm lying, if I don't like the taste of this. We'll see. Okay, so ooh, I didn't put any salt on this, but I did salt the pot roast when I was canning it. Let's see if I need any more. I do like this a lot. I think next time I might go easier on some of the spices that are in here. I'm trying to pinpoint what it is, and I think I'll know it when I smell it. There's some spice that I don't love, but I don't dislike it either. I love it on this bed of mashed potatoes. And the meat is still tender, but I have to chew it. It's not like mush at all. Let's try a potato. Mmm. Those potatoes held up really nice being cut big like that. Here's a carrot. Carrots are mush. Let's remember to leave those carrots bigger next time. But yeah, there's just one of the spices that I'm not over the moon about, but I don't dislike this at all. I think I could throw this together in about 10 minutes and be very happy with the results. And it's as good as the Hormel, honestly. I didn't think I was going to say that because, y'all, I really like that garbage food. I really like it. And I didn't think I was going to say that about this, but this is tasty. So, I'm going to eat a big bowl of warm food on this rainy, drizzly day. I'm going to come back and I'll show you guys these onions. Forgot what those were. I'll show you guys these onions as we progress on those. But for now, I'm going to enjoy this food. I'm going to have a nap. I'm probably going to sit in the recliner with like 5 weenie dogs. It's going to be outstanding. I'll be back with you guys when we're ready to check on these onions. I wanted to show you guys how these have cooked down. I had them on high I wound up for about 2 hours with them on high. Now I've got them turned down to low. And you can see how much they've cooked down. They've reduced by almost half in volume. And they are starting to get darker. They're not quite caramelized looking yet. Let's switch. Sorry. They're not quite caramelized yet, but ugh, gross. But they are getting darker in color. So this is working really well. I'm going to turn them down on low. Depending on how they're looking at bedtime, I might just keep it on warm so that it doesn't overcook them. I don't want that to happen. And doing them in this crock pot, I can smell them in the house, but it's not an overwhelming onion smell through the house. It actually smells pretty good. It's kept me hungry all day long. But yeah, I'll bring you guys back once we're done with those. Good morning, y'all. It is Sunday morning. It's about 8:30. I checked the onions when I woke up this morning at 7, and they look fantastic. When I take the lid off of them and stir them, they smell like Cracker Barrels, hash brown casserole. You know how oniony and rich that smells? That's what these onions smell like. I'm so hungry. I want Cracker Barrels so bad right now. I have my canner heating up with 3 quarts of water and a splash of vinegar. I have some jars. This is real difficult to do. In this pot, I have my half-pint jars heating up. I've got 6 in there. I've got more to go in. I'm going to get those heated, jarred up, and I don't exactly know how many I'm going to get out of all of this. So we're going to do that together. And I'm going to kind of switcheroo the setup here so you can watch me get these canned up. Let me try to get this out of the shadow a little bit more. Can you guys see how rich and delicious these look? Now, I used Vidalia onions on these, so I already used a sweeter onion. This smells so good. I cannot wait to get this jarred up and have this on the shelf. Alright, so we're ready to jar these onions up. We need to fill these to 1-inch headspace. And I am just going to start going in here. I'm not going to worry about separating liquid. If I need to add more when it's done, we will. I'm going to get these jarred up and we'll start getting these loaded in the canner. I don't exactly know how many jars it's going to take to do this. It's a complete guesstimate at this point. Because onions are sticky, we do want to clean these rims with our vinegar. And again, that also just gives you a chance to check your jars, make sure you don't feel any These are all brand new jars, so they should be fine, but it gives you a chance to feel for any flaws or nicks that may be here, because it's not impossible for it to happen. And that's it. We're ready to go. We are going to let this build up pressure and steam. We're going to let that vent for 10 minutes. Then I'll add the weight, and we will pressure can this for 70 minutes. I got 12 half pint jars, and I honestly did not expect to get that much. And yeah, so I'm very excited. We used all of the onions that we had, and I'm going to make a note of how many pounds of onions that we started out with versus how many half pint jars we ended up with. So if I do this in the future, we'll know how to use this. And I'll bring you back when we're done. I had told you guys that we would pressure can this at 10 pounds of pressure, and that was wrong. It's 11 pounds for this type of pressure canner. It's not a big discrepancy, but I did want to just let you guys know I had given you the wrong pressure amounts with this type of canner. Y'all, we are done with these onions. I got 12 half pint jars of caramelized onions, and I didn't expect that I was going to get this many. I honestly thought once I got started and everything, I was going to get 6 jars, maybe 8. And then as I was filling them up, I was like, we're going to need to get more jars ready, because this is great. I'm super excited. This was such a hands-off project. Of course, I had to cut the onions. I let the food processor do all the work of slicing, and then we put them in the crock pot for a lot of hours, and that worked fantastic. I didn't have to do anything except for jar them up this morning and get them in the canner. That was great. I'm going to bring you guys down closer, let you see them. I think most of my jars have sealed. I had cracked the lid on the canner, and I was working on some video edits, and you could just hear them pinging left and right. It was wonderful. So I'm going to bring you guys in close, show you what those look like. Can you guys see how pretty these are? They're still bubbling for sure, but they all look great. I'm super excited to have these on the shelf. Where I'm going to put them on the shelf, I don't know the answer to that, because my shelf is getting kind of full, but it's a good problem to have. We're very fortunate. If you've made it this far in this video, leave me an onion emoji. That would be fantastic. Leave me an onion emoji if you've gotten this far. As always, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to be here with me in the kitchen. I've had a blast. It's still early in the day. I'm going to work on video edits and relax a little bit. I'm going to let a dog out because they're ringing the bells. Hang on. All right. So anyway, it's been a fantastic morning. I'm going to hang out. I got plenty to do today to keep me busy. And thanks again so much. If you haven't liked us on YouTube, what are you waiting for? Like this video, subscribe to the channel. It's a bunch of randomness, but that's real life. You can't beat it. If you have any suggestions on things that you want to see, please let me know. A friend of mine has asked me to do some air fryer instructions, so I need to get some ideas for that, and I'll absolutely bring some air fryer videos. And if there's anything that you want to see, let me know. Have a great day, guys. Thanks so much. Have a good one.